Hey guys, welcome back to another Fire Friday. Every time I say hey guys, by the way, my team laughs at me because they're like, don't ever say that again. But today I feel like I'm with a friend, so I'm just being myself. You guys know that Fire Friday is extremely special to me. And today I have someone who I feel God sent my way. Just to teach me some really special things in life that I never even imagined. I want to welcome you guys and give you guys the pleasure of meeting Micah. Micah Mruwat, someone who is a mother, a legacy builder, an empire builder, a wife, a friend, a visionary. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you. It's Friday. Yay. Thank
Yay.
you for having me.
So, this is laid back. It's just us, two girls having a conversation. When we started Fire Friday, it was during the pandemic, and I just had this idea of having someone special come and talk to my team. Well, it became such an amazing, powerful, inspirational platform that we started sharing it with social media, and next thing you know, it's become this real thing. We are 2.5 years in, and every episode is special. And to me, I think this one's going to be extra special because what you and Hamoudi have built is pretty amazing. Every time I talk to you, I feel like I walk away wiser. I walk away inspired. And that's what you do, right? You just have a way of touching people. So I want my friends to meet you. And before that, I just want them to know how I met you. You reached out to me and you just sent me a message because you knew we were both going to be spending a lot of time in Puerto Rico. And I was like, who's this person? Let me look them up. And then I started looking them up. I'm like, oh, they seem really nice. And, I wasn't sure if you were a guy or a girl. I think I told you that story. And, I was like, oh, okay, it's a girl and she's got a beautiful family. And, then we did dinner. And I feel like ever since that first dinner, we've been, I must say, inseparable, yet even though we're not in the same place all the time, but we always check in on each other. But the stories that you have shared with us have been so fun and so much, so many memories that we've already created in this short year. But I think it's really important to talk about the legacy that you and your husband have built. But before that, tell everyone, who are you? Aside from real estate, who is Micah?
No, I appreciate that. And I'm incredibly blessed. I mean, we both live here on the island now. And like you said, we're not always here, but we've built such a sense of community that it truly has become another family to us. So I want to thank you as well. So just a little bit of background on myself, first and foremost, prior or before real estate, I am, I've been married for almost 15 years. My husband and I both got married very young, and he's originally from Nazareth, Israel. And then, of course, we have, as you know, two wonderful boys, Adele, who's 9, and Salim, who's 12, who truly are our driving force. It sounds a little cliche that we're always saying, find your why, find your drive. Your why has to make you cry. And for us, we've always known that, our family was going to be a driving force, especially with my husband, being in the U.S. and his family being overseas in Israel. That's always something that has been in the back of his mind, that if something were to ever happen, he wanted to be able to provide for them. But then our youngest came along, Adele, and from day one, unfortunately, he had some medical challenges, and that has been actually a blessing in disguise, because it's made not only Adele stronger as an individual, but it's made us stronger parents, stronger spouses, and even stronger business people.
I get the pleasure of calling even Adele and Salim friends, right? Because they're like these little, mature human beings that are so much fun. And you can see how you guys have built such a beautiful family, and I would say a foundation, core values as a family, and that they come along with you guys and you're having these intelligent conversations with them. I really feel like they're my friends, and my son has gotten to meet, obviously the kids, and my husband is a big fan of, Salim and Adele. And it's just really awesome to know, not only you're right, they are your why, right, family, but how they're also continuing the legacy that you guys have instilled. I say this all the time. I kind of brag about it. Probably ladies, stop talking about this. But Salim is the very first, youngest John Maxwell certified coach, correct?
Yeah. At 9 years old.
At 9 years old,
Mhm.
was that on him or was that you? How does a 9-year-old say, "Hey, mom, I want to be a certified coach"?
No, he really got into entrepreneurship in the neighborhood at the time. We lived in Oklahoma. So he was going door to door selling anything and everything. I mean, he would go buy boxes of candy bars at Sam's and then go sell it. Or, for around Thanksgiving, he would bake my grandma's recipe of pumpkin bread and go sell it. So he really got into entrepreneurship. And then he created a website called thekidshark.com where he taught other agents, other kids how to become entrepreneurs, and they would actually play those videos in his school. And so it just kind of evolved from there. Then we took him to Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within. He loved it every minute of. And by the way, he did the fire walk with us for Fire Friday. This is a great topic. So he did the fire walk, and it was like at 2 o'clock in the morning. He did it with us, and then from there he started looking up other conferences. And so he gained an interest in John Maxwell. I reached out. They said at the time he was 9 years old. He was too young to do the kids program. And so I said, nope, I'm not taking no for an answer. There's got to be another way. And they said, well, we could, there's nothing to say we can't enroll him as an adult. And I said, okay. So he was actually enrolled as an adult and went on stage with John Maxwell.
Wow. That is so impressive. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you still hear me? I
Yep,
think I
I
might
can
have
hear
a
you.
little lagging. Sorry about that. And this is the beauty of being live. That is so impressive and so inspiring in more ways than one. You made sure he was in an environment to inspire, success, entrepreneurship, finding yourself at such a young age. And then he took it upon himself to research, to want more. Like he's got it. He's got it. He's a future leader, right? But he was around that because of how you and Hamoudi really made sure that the environment that you were putting your kids in, I guess, emulated what you guys believed in, right? And you believed in this and you're walking the path. It's like you don't turn it off when you're parenting. You want your kids to walk in that same, principle and core values. So impressive. Okay, so like obviously Salim not only is, and I should bring Salim on Fire Friday on his own. So I think I'm going to do that because I'm going to just talk one more thing about him, and then we're going to move on to you, Mom. Even though he's amazing, he's also a DJ. So at 12 years old, he DJ'd my birthday party. I had a party. I was like, "Come on down." I was like, "I got some friends coming in," and he's like, "Not a problem." He goes with the flow, right? Just such a talented young man. And what I also noticed is he knows his brother's watching, and I see the way he cares for him and wants to, be a good example as a big brother. And I just want to say, Mom, you did good. You did good.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I have to say just real quick, that's one thing we've instilled in them at a very young age is their relationship actually comes first, because when mom and dad are gone, they have each other. And so we've always said, you can get mad at us, but you cannot get mad at each other, or at least not for very long. So I think that mentality has kind of helped in them being so close and watching out for each other.
Well, talk about building a legacy, the true legacy, which is the legacy of love and bond and family. And it's something that we can all learn from. Hamoudi's not here, obviously, on this Fire Friday. I think he's worthy of having his own Fire Friday, but he definitely does a good job. We joke around because he FaceTimes his mom, 10 times a day? And he definitely, he said, I'm a mama's boy. So I'm sure your boys will be okay with being a mama's boy. All right, so let's move on. You and Hamoudi have a really strong background in finance, investments, commercial. You were doing this. You were the broker of Oklahoma. How does one build a legacy the way you guys have built it? And if someone was listening today and said, like, look, man, I just don't have the resources, or I lost it all. How can someone build their legacy starting today?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And I know it sounds a little cliche, but Hamoudi and I both started, by the way, from the bottom up. I remember the first day he came to the United States, which, by the way, that was his first airplane ride ever. And he didn't even have a jacket. Like, I went to Old Navy and bought him a $50 jacket, and that was a lot of money to me back then. So he still has the jacket, by the way. I think it still fits. But, I did believe so we both do come from families of entrepreneurship. And so we did have that instilled. We both had very similar values. And so we both knew from a very young age what we wanted in life. So at the time when we first got married, I was in broadcasting. And Hamudi was like, no, 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 that's not going to be sustainable. That's not going to get us to our goals. So he actually got me into real estate. So I got licensed in 2009, right before I had Salim. And so we started slowly flipping houses because I was a second generation real estate investor. I grew up around it. And then his dad was a builder. So it only came natural to us, right? And so what we did, to answer your question of how do you start from the bottom up, is literally our first flip. We saved everything we had and we saved $25,000, and we actually bought 2 lots from the bank that had been on the market for a couple of years. And, you know, it was in a very prestigious neighborhood, but nobody wanted these lots. They were just kind of odd shaped. So we purchased them. We went to the city. We combined them to 1 lot. We cleared it out. I didn't even have money, by the way, to clear out the land. So I hired somebody. I made a deal. I was like, hey, you take the mulch from it, clear it out, and you can have all the mulch. So it was a win-win. I think I paid him a very small amount of money, but it was all about creating value for each other and always coming up with a solution. So long story short, 3 months later, we sell those 2 lots as one for $50,000. Now we take that 50 and we buy a house and we flip it into 95, and it just kept rolling from there. So we have flipped hundreds of homes at this point. We've done anything from apartment complexes to commercial to residential. But the key is we always stay hungry. Even to this day, it doesn't matter. We did $8 million in family acquisitions last year, but we still have that hunger. It doesn't matter how much money we make. Everything is poured back into our business. And so, you know, for the most part, except for a little bit of fun here and there, you know, we live on a very small amount of money because everything is reinvested back into our businesses.
And I think that anyone who's listening to this is instantly going to be inspired to be like, you know, it just takes one, but you made a commitment to say, hey, the little bit that we're going to get, we're going to reinvest it. We're going to be on a budget. We're going to make sure that we are serious about, you know, building a portfolio that can grow. What, aside from savings, like, and you said you live on a small budget, what other sacrifices did you guys have to make? Because some people think like, oh, you know, they got lucky or this, like, what does living on a budget to build a portfolio that has $8 million worth of residential, you know, flips portfolio last year, what kind of sacrifices would someone need to make if they were thinking about saying, okay, I'll cut this or I'll cut that, just so that they can kind of have an idea and realize it is doable. It's not as bad as it may seem when you say make some sacrifices.
Right. And I think a lot of times we look at the bigger purchases, but it's actually the small money that you spend every single day that you don't realize that adds up to a lot. So I think you know this, Hamudi and I are not big shoppers. It's just the little things, you know, we eat out maybe twice a week. We don't drink heavily, so we're not going to the bars and spending a couple $100s on a single night. It's just things that we're very intentional with everything that we do. And so, you know, even to today, it's just what kind of return. I mean, almost on anything that I purchase. I mean, we were talking about a boat last week, and we were like, you know, you and I were strategizing, how can we turn this liability into an asset? So it's always about how can we have fun? So we still want to live life, right? So I don't want to act like we're not spending money and having fun, but how can we do it in such a way that it still makes sense and still continue to have that drive and that hunger in everything that we do?
Yeah. And I think, you know, I think it's important to point out, like you said, you still have really awesome experiences. You guys do things as a family. You guys love to adventure. You love to create memories, but memories don't have to cost a lot, right? And unfortunately, in our industry, the way it's perceived is that we're supposed to be flashy, you know, people spend the commissions before they even make it. You know, where they have this facade of what, you know, being a flipper really looks like. And you guys have, you know, really, I would say flip the script on that. Like when you told me, she was like, Veronica, I'm like not into all this fancy stuff. I like good stuff, but it's more memories. It's more in experiences with my family, right? Than spending it on these things, like you said, that really don't have, I would say they're not necessary. they're not necessary, right? The Starbucks coffee every day. By the way, I'm going to go to the coffee conversation in a second. And how Moody would kill you if you went to Starbucks, right? He would probably
Yep.
say,
True
not because
story.
of the money, not because of the money, but think about it. I would ask anyone who's listening, what are some of the things that you could do in your life today that if you were to do an audit, you could be like, yeah, man, if I just cut that out, that could go towards my, freedom fund, towards
Mhm.
my, fund of being able to build a legacy that isn't what I'm wearing. I mean,
Right.
I listen. I'm guilty. I like good stuff too, but Tony and I kind of like at one point, and I want to, I don't want to harp too much on this, but at one point we got caught up in going to Vegas a lot, and we got caught up in like, oh my God, we'll go to the tables, and then we noticed, you know, first trip you spend like $500, then you get sucked in, then it's 1,000, then like I think one time we were like, how much did we drop on the tables? And now after maturity and wisdom and like it's not cute, I think we've been able to go to Vegas like 5 years in a row and be like, no, it's not worth it. It's not, a good habit to have to just waste money on that. Where would we rather put that money to build a legacy for our family? And, we've had those reckless moments, but we have been mindful and been the ones to check ourselves. So it's like we know where we can cut back on. I cut back on drinking. I cut back on, actually, I don't drink it anymore, which even that was a significant savings. You know why? Because what do? You go, you drink, then then you gotta eat more, then you probably make bad decisions. So even little things like that, as you do an audit in your life, what can you cut out? What can you cut out that are
Mhm.
small little things that make a huge impact on your life, your health, your wealth, your mental health? Because also, oh, by the way, when we would drop a little bit too much on the tables, then after that, I had anxiety. So my mental health got messed up too. I was like not happy with some of those decisions. So I made those changes in my life and I don't regret them. So, all right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about EXP just because we both are there. And one of the conversations that we had was you were agent number 333 at the company. And you joined this company because you believed in it. You believed in the leader,
Mhm.
Glenn Sanford. You saw something there and you just thought there was a better way. And you believed in this company when probably no one even knew who they were.
It
And you
was EXP Who back then.
EXP who, right? And you actually said, oh, there's no Oklahoma broker. I'll be the broker. Like you
Mhm.
volunteered to be the broker.
Right.
You
Right.
must have seen something that most people couldn't see. And again, we're going back to building a legacy. What was it that you saw that could be a part of the legacy that you guys were building that made you take that leap of faith and do that for so many years?
Yeah, I mean it's really interesting. In my mind, I never had a doubt that we were going to be number one. And even to today, I still believe where we're headed. And I think it has a lot to do with exactly what you just said. It's the business model is great. It's genius. The compensation plan is amazing. All of that is great. But what I love is our founder, Glenn Sanford. And so from the day that I met him, I just knew that he was such a visionary. And literally, over the last 7 years of being with EXP, I joke with him all the time, like everything that you have said is going to happen has happened. So I will never doubt anything ever again. But it's been an amazing ride. One of the things that I would tell anybody that's watching this, whether you're with EXP or not, is, I hear all the time, well, you got in early, right? You got in early. It must be easier for you. I'm here to tell you that's absolutely opposite. Back in the day, I had to be the broker because we didn't have a broker. I was going to previously open my own brokerage because I ran my numbers in 2014 and I realized how much I was paying my broker and we were flipping a lot of homes. So we were going to open our own brokerage. And then I found out about EXP and I told Hamudi, we walked away from that meeting and I said, if I don't do this, no offense, guys, I said, I'd be stupid. This is literally what came out of my mouth. Because although I can be at 100% and be my own broker, if I ever bring agents or attract agents to a company, this is just my personality, I have to believe in it 110%. And I have to believe that I'm offering them the best product. And so I didn't feel personally, if I were to open my own brokerage, that I could do that. But I did feel that with EXP. even at the time, this was 7 years ago, it's gotten even bigger and better. All of our systems and tools and everything has gotten even better. But at the time, I still felt it was the best product that was out there. And I still do.
Yeah. I think if you, I think a lot of us bet on Glenn. When I had the opportunity to meet him, it was in a setting where I was just observing him, and I was like, guy's an amazing leader. I could sense it. I felt it. Every word that he would say, I was just like, this is different. This is different. And it, going back to the legacy play, right, that we're talking about here, I don't remember other than, and this is something that you guys, we've talked about openly about, where do we build our legacy in real estate other than buying investment properties or being a landlord, right? And it got to a point that you guys had so many properties that being the landlord became kind of a burden. So it's like, yeah, you want to own the land, you want to own the property. We still absolutely want to buy investment properties and commercial properties. But it did get to a point where you're like, those calls in the middle of the night can also feel like a burden sometimes, right? This broke, the plumbing broke, and we have property managers, but there is a part of building wealth through real estate that also comes with some challenges, right? So you wanted to diversify your legacy that you were building. You still do it through real estate. You buy a lot of properties, but now you guys are shifting to more commercial, right? Commercial properties,
absolute net deals,
right? Because it got to a point where you're like, this landlord stuff ain't easy. Right?
It isn't. And I do want to highlight one thing real quick on Glenn. Besides being a visionary, I just want to say he's a person of high integrity. I just had to add that real quick because I think that's the other piece of the puzzle. But yeah, so if you asked us a few years ago, our goal, and I say our because I'm speaking for Hamudi and myself, is we wanted to own 1,000 doors, 1,000 units. That was what we were going toward. And then all of a sudden, as you said, you can hire managers, but let's be honest, nobody's going to manage your properties like you are. So we had to still be very, very involved. And we realized that after we got to, I think, about 55 doors, we were like, oh, okay, this is not the freedom that we were looking for, right? It does give you the financial freedom, but it doesn't give you the time and the location freedom, right? And so we really had to reevaluate. And to be honest with you, what I was doing with EXP started to exceed the net income that I was making in the investment. So Hamudi even started looking at it and he was like, what are you doing over there? And I need to join you. So he joined my organization about 2 years ago. But, we will still do real estate investing, like you said, but now we're looking at absolute net. How can I make a little bit less, but allow me to design that life and really be present with my kids?
And you're buying a lot more, obviously the commercial, you don't buy the businesses, you just are the commercial owner, you own the real estate, McDonald's style, right?
I don't want to be the operator.
Right, you don't want to be the operator. You get your check, the mailbox money every month, and obviously you're great, to your tenants, and you're building your wealth through real estate, which is still something that we're extremely, extremely passionate about. And I think will always be important to us builders, right? And us people who are passionate about real estate. But what it's really cool is that you're building legacies through other avenues of real estate, which is partnering with really amazing people as well. And your husband and you get to enjoy what you take every summer. You go to Israel, you're able to spend time with your family while still running your businesses from afar. Did you ever think that there would be a day that you would be living at this young age, this freedom, the way you're living it, and thinking like, we have been wired to believe you have to be back, at the desk in the building, like I need to be there in order for my business to run. And here you are running your business globally. When did you imagine this?
I didn't imagine I was going to be in Puerto Rico. I'll tell you that. That one was a surprise. And thanks to Brent Gove in one of his YouTube videos, that was just on a whim. But I think Hamudi and I have always believed we were set out for bigger and better things. And it's been instilled in us. I think it comes from not having family in the US and really our kids' success is heavily reliant on what we're setting for them. And so it's really just not been an option to do anything but what we've created. So I don't mean this in an arrogant way, but it's not a surprise because this is what we've been working toward the last 15 years.
I love that. Guys, if you're listening, that confidence and being so crystal clear is something that you have inside of you. Just some people haven't tapped into it, right? But listening to you guys, how you guys built it, just having that mindset that this is not optional. Like we are going to build this legacy so that our children and our family can have something that can, you're not just working for you're not building this for your children. It's your grandchildren that don't even exist today, right? But that you're building a better future, right? Something, Gil said this great. He says, I didn't come from money, but my kids will. But, it wasn't even about the money. He does the same thing. They're at Tony Robbins. They're a family of unity. They read books together. He's making sure his kids are involved in courses and just kind of showing them how they can also, have their own identity, be legacy builders as well. But just coming from a place of just saying, you can do anything you want to do. You can do anything you want to do, and stripping away that limited belief. Guys, I am so, so grateful to have my dear friend here. I mean, we can go on for hours. I'll bring her back. And if, I'm going to probably bring her onto our Relaunch Live podcast. We'll dive a little deeper. So follow us there as well. But if you're anything like me, you're probably already like searching her on IG, Facebook, wanting to become her friend because she's just so easy to like and so fun to watch. So make sure you follow Micah and hit her up if you have questions on, investments, if you have questions on leadership, on team building, on, buying your first commercial building, buying your first multifamily building. She can help you. She's a wealth of knowledge, just such a servant leader and someone that I would definitely say you will be blessed if you are in proximity with her. So my friend, thank you. We're short, sweet, and to the point here at Fire Friday. Give them that teaser, make them want to come back for more. I am so grateful for you. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me.